As a business owner, I do research every single day, whether it be best market trends, best ways for lead generation, or just researching how to do certain things within my business. I use Perplexity for all of that. So in this video, I'm going to walk you guys through my favorite ways of using it to find answers as fast as possible. All right, so if you open up Perplexity, you just go to perplexity.ai. Usually you can get by with the free version. I actually went, I don't know, I want to say 2 years without ever having to upgrade. I upgraded just for some little features here and there, but you really don't need to. You can get by with the free version for most people. For instance, if you just want to look up market trends for the pet training industry, right? And you're just going to kind of find some basics. Maybe you're doing research for a new startup, or maybe you're doing research for your current startup or your current business. And so this is a great way where it'll actually go in, do a lot of the research for you, and then summarize all of those findings with the source links. So you can actually come in here. I can just open up that link here, and you can actually read those trends or the articles or whatever it's finding in here. So this is a great way to do it. But then on top of that, you can actually start to have conversations with it. So maybe you can say, compare that with other industry competitors, right? And it'll actually take everything that we found in the first search, and then it's going to go in and do some more research on competitors and things like that. So pet training, broader pet services, find me the top 5 competitors in this space in the South, right? So you can kind of just continue conversationally. This is one of the reasons I like using Perplexity as opposed to something like Google for research. Even ChatGPT, I like ChatGPT. It doesn't really find as many sources, doesn't show you all of the sources all of the time. And so I still use ChatGPT, but when I really want to do good research, I'm using Perplexity 100% of the time. So in here, you can kind of see the different ways that you're going to find competitors. You're going to find maybe the different market trends about those competitors. And then you could even say, tell me the pricing model of each competitor in a table format, right? And so it's actually going to go out, try and find those pricing models for each different one. It's going to look at the different sources. It could look multiple times and query multiple times in multiple formats, and it's going to pull all of those into a table format for you. So you've got a $150 session for private training. You've got group classes, a group pass, right? Or the evaluation for quote estimate. You know, there's these different things that are usually publicly available online, and you can just find those things really quick. Whereas I used to literally have to Google, go in, find every website, actually open it up and look for those pricing models and try and jot this down into a table for me. So what used to take me hours literally takes me seconds now. So huge fan of using Perplexity for research. Another way that you can use this is going to be their deep research feature. I like this for really, really deep. Like, you need to make sure that you get as much information as possible. It's going to take you 2, 3, sometimes 4 minutes to actually get it done. But this is a great way to do it. This is where I actually like it because I can just make it more conversational and it'll turn that into queries that it needs. I'm thinking about starting up a dog training company. And I want to do some market research to make sure that in my area of central Georgia, the greater Atlanta area, that there's opportunity for me in this space. So I want you to research dog training companies, pet training companies in this area. I want you to research their pricing models, what the profitability could be, and if there's room in the market for a new competitor in this space. And then just give me some competitor analysis. Right. So I just made a very long query, definitely not something that I could have done with Google back in the day. And it's going to turn that into multiple queries. So right now you can see it's actually thinking a little bit. It did 3 different queries here. It's continuing with those queries. It just made more dog training, business profit margins, revenue, dog training industry, dog training prices, Alpharetta, Georgia, Peach on a leash, pricing packages, all kinds of things here. So it's going to make multiple queries over and over again, almost like it's an actual person that you gave it this task, and it's going to go out and actually look multiple times and do all of the research. Then when it's done, it's just going to summarize all of that in a really lengthy document for me. So it says it's got about a minute left. I could skip remaining steps. I'm not going to do that here, but you can if you're just short on time. And then you've got notifications enabled because if you're running this over a long period of time, it might just notify you when you're done. So you could actually just spin off this research and then come back and visit it later. All right, so it's getting close to done. It's actually running some Python programming in here. It's generating a file, so it can do more than just research. It's actually using good AI features to make sure that maybe it's calculating some pricing models or things like that. But this is what you want to see in a good research tool, is it can actually do much more than just scrape the web and return results for you. You can actually open up all the steps, kind of look in here, see all the sources that it's finding. So while it's researching, you can kind of see the different steps that it goes through. This is the benefit of Perplexity in more of an agentic format as an AI tool. It's going to search over and over again. It decides when it feels like it's actually accomplished the task that you gave it. Now, down here, you can see it's gathering detailed competitor analysis data. It's running some Python code on that, analyzing the market size for growth, profit potential, startup costs, etc. You could actually click on the Python code and see how it's running code, what it's actually doing behind the scenes. And then if you look at the generated file, you can see it's kind of already throwing together in a table format a little bit here, and then it'll summarize all of that into one big document at the end. All right, now it's done here. It's actually dropping everything into a big response here where it's going to kind of just talk down maybe more like a document or a brief on this research. And if you scroll down, you can kind of see all the different numbers, the competitor analysis, things like that. We should have some tables down here at the bottom, maybe. So you've got some pricing strategies for your market. You've got a strategic recommendations for market entry. So it'll actually kind of give you suggestions on how you should start this business. And then it'll give you kind of some verdicts, some opinions on things. And then from here, you can switch out of deep research back into regular search and continue the conversation from here. Like maybe figuring out the best ways for brand designs or things like that. And so huge opportunity for doing deep research with Perplexity. Again, you can usually get some of these features on the free version. Free version is going to limit how many deep researches that you can do. So that's one of the reasons I upgraded to the pro version, but you can still use these features on the free version. Usually it'll get you as close as you can without actually having to upgrade. Now, I want to move into Discover. I'm not going to spend much time here, but I actually like the Discover feature inside of Perplexity because you can just kind of skim through some of the news articles here. And then if I see one that I like OpenAI signs a $38 billion cloud deal with AWS, I can click on that and read it from here, but I can continue the conversation. And I could say, how does this affect their company as a whole? Right? I can continue that conversation. So maybe I'm just doing research on the different tools in the market or the different AI platforms out there. And I want to continue that conversation and ask questions about it. So instead of just reading the news, you can literally click and have a conversation with that article and just kind of continue things from there. Now, after Discover, Spaces is honestly one of the things I think everybody should take advantage of. I think this one is phenomenal. So think of it like maybe ChatGPT projects, right? So in ChatGPT, you can open up a new project. It almost acts like a little folder. You can give that project custom instructions and files that it can have access to for the context. But in Perplexity, they have all these templates. So for instance, if you're planning a trip or something like that, maybe in your company, you're doing a company retreat or things like this, you can open up this template, click use this template. And then if you click edit in the settings, you can see all these custom instructions that they added in here. And this is just basically going to assist you in how you do research by already telling it with every new query, every new conversation that you start with it, it's going to use all of these custom instructions. And so things that you might not think about, like must know logistics, examples, transit passes, and SIM cards, things like that. So it's going to make sure to research those things for you. Another thing that you can add are going to be local files. And so this is going to be things like PDFs or even connector files in here, right? And so that would be something like Google Drive or Dropbox folders if you want to add those types of files. And then you can also add in links. So if there's specific websites or specific things that you like to reference, like maybe you're planning a trip to Switzerland and there's a YouTube channel or somebody that really knows that area of the world really well, you can add their link to their website into your sources. So every time that you do a search, it'll just check and see if there's anything related to what you're searching about on that website first, and then continue on from there. So this is a great way to be able to use Spaces to continue your research over time if you're going to have one project that you're going to do a lot of research for. So maybe this is your market research for your business, or maybe this is a go-to-market strategy for your business and you want to continue with ideas or find competitors or figure out strategies that other people are using. You can kind of continue all of that in one, and then you can save all of those links that you've gone to so that I can continue to reference those in the future. Another thing you can do in these spaces is you can add other users. So if you're doing a research project with somebody else on your team, you can just add them in. And now both of you have access to all of the source links, all of the files, all of the custom instructions, as well as all of the threads that you've actually started for those research queries. And you can kind of continue them together as a team. So big fan of the Spaces feature. I think that this is a great tool that people can use just to get the best use out of their research. So I'm a big believer in research as a business person. We exist to help people get their time back at Madewell, right? And so if you're looking for somebody to come alongside you guys and help you figure out how do I implement AI in my business, we're going to drop a link below in the description for you so that you can just click on that. You can book what we call an AI Opportunity Audit. And so this is just somebody from our team that'll get on the phone with you, ask questions about your business, and then help guide you through how we think you could implement AI into your business. And that if you need help from somebody like us to be able to do that, we'd love to help you out with that. And so we'll make sure that link is in the description as well as a link for Perplexity, right? Because we think that this is something that you can use today just to get some better research in your business. Another tool that I think people miss is going to be just general personalization. So you can click on personalization up here and introduce yourself, tell it about who you are, maybe what you do in work, and it's going to use that in every new query. It'll have that context to be able to make sure that it's giving you research answers that really fit you as an individual. Another feature I like is going to be these assistant features where you can actually come in here and maybe you want to sync your Gmail or your calendar. So you could literally just say, hey, summarize all of my emails for today or what's on the calendar for tomorrow. And you can kind of just have a conversation with it by syncing Gmail, or maybe you're syncing Microsoft Office, things like that. Another tool that I like is going to be this assistant feature where you can come in here and you can sync your inbox and your calendar. So this is super cool if you wanted to basically just say something like, what are summarize all of the emails that came in today in my inbox, or what's on the calendar for tomorrow. Super cool tool if you want to use it more as an agentic assistant there. You can also add shortcuts in here. So you can create, maybe teach me comment, trending on social. And so basically how this acts is like a slash command where you can create slash this shortcut, and then it'll automatically add in all of these instructions into the prompt as you're typing in. So super cool if there's prompts that you like to add in every single time or multiple times, you can just create a quick shortcut in here for you. Now, a big thing that I like as well is going to be this tasks. The only other tool that I've seen that does this is Grok, where you can actually set up a query and then have it run at a specific time every day and send you a notification. So for instance, maybe tech insights, you click create new task, you basically write this prompt in here, and then you could say, run it every day at this time or every week on this day at this time. And then it's going to run it. You could set expiration dates. Maybe you just want to make sure to get notifications about an event that you're going to or a conference or something like that. It'll just run that query, get all of the research, and then you could have it send it to you in the app. You could send it to you in an email or on the mobile app, right? And so these are really cool ways to do that. And then you can come in here and just select which model that you want. I usually recommend just let it decide by selecting best, but you can come in and you can select different models. And you can also select the sources, right? I usually just say use the web, but maybe if you're getting tasks done for specific things like academic research papers or social or finance, you can select those as well. And you can do that just so you know as well on this main page. If you click on sources down here on the bottom, you can click academic, social, finance as well. Really cool if you're trying to do specific research and you want to make sure that Perplexity knows exactly what types of sources that you want it to reference. Now, a lot of people don't realize you can actually use Perplexity for generating images or things like that. So if you did want to generate an image, I could actually come in here and say, generate an image of a dog. And it's going to do that. It's going to use some of these image generation models and then come in here and actually generate you an image, just like you would in ChatGPT or Grok or some of these other models. It'll actually generate that image. Now, what models it's using under the hood, I'm not 100% sure. Let's actually look at that. What model is Perplexity using to generate images. Okay, yeah. So it's probably using some other pre-built models like Nano Banana or things like that. And so let's see. Am I able to select which model I want it to use for image generation? Oh, nice. How would I do that? As you can tell, I don't really use Perplexity for generating a lot of images. So I haven't used this feature yet, but it's cool that you can do it, right? If you didn't want to pay for a lot of different subscriptions, you could use this instead of something like ChatGPT. I still use ChatGPT more for creative writing, creative brainstorming, things like that. It's a little more conversational, but at the end of the day, you still have access to using Perplexity with all of those models. So you get GPT-5, you get Claude, you get Gemini. So you can kind of decide which model that you want to use just in general. Now, if you wanted to switch which specific model you wanted to use for the images, you can click on the settings icon in the top right, Perplexity interface, select the preferences, and then find the option labeled image generation model and choose your preferred model from the list. And so let's say you come in here, we're going to go to all settings and then let's see, preferences, image generation model, right? So we've got it set on default right now, but you could just select Nano Banana, right? I think Nano Banana is probably one of the better models. It's definitely one of the faster, more affordable models. And you could use that just as every image generation. You can also kind of select which model that you want by clicking here. But I usually just leave it on best because it decides which one that it thinks it needs to be able to get the answer that you need. The other thing I think most people don't realize is you have a lot of connectors built in. ChatGPT has this, a lot of the AI platforms have this, but you can basically add in Google Drive, Outlook, Dropbox, a lot of these different tools, even Slack, right? And so if you want to integrate them, you can just link them and it'll basically use that as context for when it's searching. So if you have Slack enabled, then you could search, what conversations have I had with my team about this topic? And it could go and search in Slack for any conversations about that. And so Google Drive is obviously a big one. If you've got team documents or PDFs that you want to reference in your search, you could just start having conversations with it. And so this is one that I think people have missed a lot of. And then obviously, if you're a developer, they do have an API. I love Perplexity. Their API is great. The documentation is great. And so if you wanted to use something like Perplexity's search models under the hood for your application in your business. Again, that's something that we do at Madewell AI. If you needed to kind of build some more custom workflows with your business, the operations in your business, or the products and services that you sell, we could take the API from Perplexity and integrate it into your business. And so, again, in the description, we've got a link if you want to learn more about that. Just click that link and schedule a call with somebody from our team and just let them know, I'd like to figure out how we could implement Perplexity into our business and the services that you provide for your clients. And so would love to work with you guys on that. So that's it. I think Perplexity is a great tool. If you're doing a lot of research, highly recommend trying it out. We'll make sure there is a link in the description for you to click on it and try it out. There's a free version. There's no reason that you guys shouldn't give it a shot today.